Let us not dawdle, for there are grudges to settle, and new entries in the Dammer's Cron to right!
Howdy, howdy, Sudevil here, and welcome to another Dwarf matchup featuring the Dowie versus Chaos, being commanded by Valentine. Now, Valentine's new to the channel, so we'll see how he sets his build up. Now, in the front line, he actually has a Peak Gate Guard, very strong regiment of renowned hammers. They have 55 weapon strength, they do magic damage, and they do armor sundering. He also has two groups of hammers on either side. And this is sort of how I like to set up my line, so you really have a very strong line on all around you, so you make a very powerful front line, and that's what he's got set up down to the sides. Across his back line, he has two groups of miners just to defend the edges on the left and the right, and in the very back he actually has the Grumbling Guard, which obviously have that vigor aura and can assist with armor piercing damage and can come to the front, the middle, or the side depending on where they need to be. For his range department, he does have the Althar's Raiders, who are really good against the Thorol, big monster, stuff like that, because they can debuff them and they can do a lot of damage really fast. And he also has Thunders to do the same, and he has two Bolt Throwers. I know there's a lot of you out there that really do enjoy the Bolt Throwers. They're a cheap way to get anti-large damage in, and they are commanded by Belegar Ironhammer. And Belegar actually has most of his kit. He does have Revenge Incarnate for the plus 44 melee attack, plus 50% weapon damage, which is huge for 33 seconds. He does have the Mighty Old Stone for the plus 27 melee defense and expert charge defense. He also has a Hammer of Angrand, which you don't see very often, and that's if his leadership is above 50%. It's 15% armor piercing damage, plus 9 melee attack, plus 15% weapon damage, and plus 16% charge bonus. And lastly, he does have that Silver Shield, and he also has a group of Giant Slayers, really to chase off anything really big that tries to get in the pocket. And he also has two Gyrocopters with Brimstone guns, a man after my own heart. I really do like the Gyrocopters in this matchup. For the Chaos build, two Gorbeast Chariots. Now, Gorbeast Chariots are very strong in this matchup because they have that armor-piercing anti-infantry, so they're very good against the Dowie. The front line, he has Chaos Warriors, just base Chaos Warriors with one chevron. They do have the Silver Shield, and he has the Mirror Guard. They're really to get up front and just to hold for his real heavy hitters, which are in the back here, these Chosen with great weapons. And he also has the Weird Spawn, which do armor sundering. You don't see these guys very often, but minus 30 armor, and they do cause fear, and they have some physical resistance. For his leadership, he does have Prince Sigvald the Magnificent, which he has Standard Eye for the 27 melee defense and 16 leadership, Deadly Onslaught, 36% charge bonus, 20% armor piercing, 20% weapon damage, Foe Seeker, and of course he does have the Auric Armor, which allows him to regenerate. And another interesting thing on this Chaos build is he has two sorcerers. He has a Chaos Sorcerer of Death, which gives him the Forbidden Rod, which really improves the magic that is available to Chaos. He also has the Scroll of Shielding for 20% damage resistance, and Spirit Leech. And people often use Spirit Leech to try and get artillery or to snipe a Lord. And he does have Life Leeching for the improved power recharge rate. But he also has a Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows on horseback. And that Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows has the Forbidden Rod again, the Scroll of Shielding for the 22% damage resistance, and the Penumbral Pendulum for that big AoE damage. And he does have Smoke and Mirrors when he casts. So we will get this game going. So right away, all Valentine wants to do is he really just wants to get up in here and take a look what's going on, see if he can get after that Gorbeast Chariot. And he really sees this chariot out here. He's going to actually just target both his Bolt Throwers in this chariot so he can get some non-stop damage onto this chariot. Really, we'll see it coming in from this side, and really you can see the Bolt Throwers taking good aim at these chariots. Here come the shots. Boom, boom, boom. He's going to get his damage in and start chipping away at those Gorbeast Chariot as he comes in. Unfortunately, this Chaos Sorcerer of Death is going to just chase the Gyrocopters. Really, you need to split them, but he's going to bring them back around, and this front line is going to start engaging. Now, the Hammers are going to do very good in this front line. We know they're really good in this matchup. You do have to worry about some of that bigger stuff, but they're really going to do a good job. Already, our Thunderers are firing, the Ulthars Raiders are getting ready to fire, and in comes Prince Sigvald the Magnificent. On this side, in comes the Gorby's Chariot. This Gorby's Chariot coming here and down here are going to try and disrupt this Dowie back line as quickly as they can to do as much damage as you can. And from the far back, you can see these Chosen with great weapons are coming, and the Weird Spawn, in comes a Chariot. So hard to stop. You just don't have the mass to stop those with the Dowie, and they're just going to run rampant through the front line. The Giant Slayers are coming through after the Gorby's Chariot, and they do want nothing of that, and they're going to go up front. These guys are almost routing. Belagar has put Revenge Incarnate for the plus 44 melee attack to try and do some good damage on these guys. In comes these guys. In comes a Penumbral Pendulum right down the Dowie center line. Gets into those Ulthars Raiders, and over here you can see where the Gyrocopters are still sort of staying away from that Chaos Sorcerer of Death. About an even trade. Inside in the pocket here we have the Chaos Warriors and the Weird Spawn going to town. On this side we do have these Chaos Warriors who are going to be losing to these Hammers. But we have the Mirror Guard, which are beating these miners pretty badly. In the middle of the pocket here, here's where all the most intense fighting is right here. You can see that Valentine's trying to get after this Chariot with his Giant Slayers, trying to push him around and then get his Giant Slayers into the Weird Spawn. And he's now retargeted on the Weird Spawn. They're a large target. You can get lots of DPS onto that target, even because they're so much taller than Dowie. So he's got a good target on them, and he's got his Gyrocopter now back on this Chariot to try and get some damage on it. These Chosen with great weapons have now come down. You can see all the focus with the Weird Spawn, the Chaos Warriors, and the Chosen are sort of in this pocket, because obviously the Chaos player wants to break this completely and just pour in through that line as much as he can. Valentine is really focused on trying to get off to these Gorby's Chariots. They're just going back and forth through the line. Belagar Ironhammer is up here fighting against Prince Sigvald the Magnificent. It's not going so well. He has been able to shatter this Chaos Warriors with the hammers on this side, but unfortunately the miners are going down very quickly. These Thunders are going to get beat down by the Gorby's Chariot as it comes through that back line. And you can see the Chaos Sorcerer of Death is trying to land in there with the Fear and Terror to get these Thunders routing. These miners have routed, and this is really bad for the Dowie because the Mirror Guard can now come in. He does see that, and he tries to bring the hammers to intercept, but really, this pocket is absolutely under threat right now. So the Dowie are really going to have to try and reformat their backline, get everything going back out here. Because the whole left flank has actually been collapsed. The Gyrocopter Brimstone Gun still after that Gorby's Chariot, and this is something where the Gyrocopters really excel in a long game, where these Chariots can just go through your line over and over, and you can see they're back together, they're going through here, they're going to come back around, but the Gyrocopters can keep shooting at them. You can see both of them still got shots on these Gorby's Chariots. Now, unfortunately, they just can't kill them. So the Gorby's Chariots are going to come back around, and they can just kind of go wherever they want, but the Gyrocopters can keep putting pressure on. These Mirror Guard are going to come right into the center of the line. We do have hammers in here. We have Belagar Iron Hammer with the Revenge Incarnate going again. We do have the Chosen with great weapons here getting attacked from behind with the hammers and the Giant Slayers, and Belagar Iron Hammer is helping to beef everything up. These Weird Spawn are getting absolutely pummeled. Now they have been pretty much decimated. They're down to one model, just about dead, 40 health, and they are gone. Gorby's Chariot have come in to try and get these Grumbling Guard. Of course, Grumbling Guard do have charge defense against large, so they're able to fend them off. So they're going to come back into this front line and try and really win this battle. Another Penumbral Pendulum is going to come. He's going to try and dodge it because he sees it. Still gets a little bit of damage, but he is able to dodge it for the most part. Now, this Chaos Sorcerer of Death is going after this Gyrocopter with the Brimstone Gun. This is a good trade right here. This is a good trade. And you can see he's actually refocusing his Thunders to try and get some shots onto that Chaos Sorcerer, and the Chaos Sorcerer decides, well, okay, we can't go back, so he's going to get the Gyrocopter to shoot at him right away, and then he's going to refocus on that Gorby's Chariot, because that's where he's got to finish these guys off. So these guys rout. One more. We got 617 health with this Gorby's Chariot going right through the Ulthars Raider, and this Gyrocopter's Brimstone Gun is being chased away by the Chaos Sorcerer of Death here. That's just fine. Meanwhile, over here, the Chosen with great weapons have been routed. Only 7 units left, 558 health. They are going to go. This has been a big victory for the Dowie. Even with the Chariots coming through, the Sigvald coming through, everyone coming through, the Dowie have been able to win that area. And he's still shooting the Gore Beast. You can see he's chipping away. It's 216 health, and it is about to rout, and there it goes. He's got the Thunderers shooting at it. He's got the Miners chasing it down. Unfortunately, he has been routed on this side. Belgar Ironhammer has been routed by the Chaos Sorcerer of Death and Sigvald, and he is now running to try and get away, being punted by that frickin' Chaos Sorcerer. Now, the Chaos Sorcerer is now being beat up by the Thunderers, but unfortunately we've got Belgar being chased down by Sigvald, which is not great. We'll take a look at this. And Sigvald is coming right down. Go Belgar, go! Go! Go, buddy! And boom! Unfortunately, Sigvald is far too fast, and Belgar Ironhammer is dead. Grudge. Another Grudge ready to go right there. Grudge for life. But meanwhile, he has been able to get the Chaos Sorcerer of Death, and this is a perfect job for the Gyrocopter. He's just going to escort that Chaos Sorcerer right off to the field, make sure he actually exits the battlefield, and Sigvald's going to come back on this side. Everywhere else, we has shattered those Chosen with great weapons, shattered the Chaos Warriors, broken the Chaos Marauders, and the Dowie force is strong right in the middle here. Unfortunately, there's a Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows off in the woods and hidden, but Valentine is going to take his time, get rid of that Chaos Sorceress, make sure that he can't come back in there with that Fear and Terror Bomb, and he's still shooting at him, just making sure he's going to be gone, down to 116 health, and then he can refocus his efforts on the rest of the army and just cleaning up the game. This is what you do. This is what good players do. Get rid of that unit, and now he can come back with the Gyrocopter. There's one unit right here, the Chaos Marauders that have rallied, and there is just Prince Sigvald and this sneaky little Chaos Sorcerer over here. So he's just going to take his units, he's going to get over here, and he wants to kind of get away with his Thunders, because his Thunders can actually just shoot Sigvald. So Sigvald has a silver shield, but if he can shoot him from behind, the Ulthor's Raiders and Thunder's going to do a really good job. Meanwhile, though, he does want to make sure he takes out these Chaos Warriors, these Chaos Marauders out here, and he does shatter them. He charges in just to make sure, and now it's time to get after Sigvald. Now, Sigvald knows that the biggest threat to him is the Thunders, but the rest of the Dowie force is just going to chase him down, and he's going to try and run away the Thunders and come in with the Gyrocopters, because the Gyrocopters can stop Sigvald. Sigvald's like, well, I don't know, I'm getting shot by the Ulthor's Raiders. No matter where I'm going to go, I'm going to get shot in the back. And Valentine said, I'm just going to take you right through my units and bring in the rest of my Dowie force and start to beat him down slowly but surely. So, when you look at this battlefield, all you see, if you're the Dowie player, are shattered, Sigvald, shattered, nothing. The only thing you see is Sigvald. So you're not worried about getting your Ulthor's Raiders in there to fight hand to hand. You're not worried about your Thunders to get in there and fight hand to hand. You're not worried about getting your Miners all the way in and fighting hand in hand. You don't care that much about having a giant blob. He's even got his Thunders in there, because what's there? Just Sigvald, right? That's all that's left. There's not a Sorcerer of Shadows in the shadows with a giant AoE spell just waiting for his Magicka and mana to come back, is there? Well, you know, since we have this giant grudge against Sigvald, oh, he moved. Is he coming? Nope. Since we have this giant grudge against Sigvald, we are just going to watch this in a cinematic mode, and we're going to watch Sigvald slowly but surely get beat down by the Dowie. It's not going to happen all that fast, because Sigvald has a ton of melee defense. But you can see we got Giant Slayers in there, we got Miners in there, we got Thunders in there, we got Hammers in there, we got Ulthor's Raiders in there. We got every form of Dowie troop right in the middle, looking to beat down Prince Sigvald. And I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, because this beatdown is going to take a long time. And boy, there goes the giant AoE right down the pipe. Caught every single one, but it only got the Miners. So thank goodness it wasn't enough to rout anything. So he brings in the Chaos Sorcerer, hits Standard Eye, tries to finish off the Dowie. But that Sorcerer is not going to be able to do much with those Giant Slayers there, Gyrocopters, a lot of Dowie forces right down the pipe, ready to fight. So they're just going to go and beat down that sorcerer. You can see very, very quickly he is ready to rout. He only has 1 health left, and boom, dead. And now Sigvald has to fight the rest of this battle versus the Dowie. Just Sigvald versus the world. There really isn't much Sigvald can do because there are Giant Slayers, there are a lot of other units, so we will fast forward this a little bit because this takes quite a while for Sigvald to actually get routed off. But a great fun battle, really, really interesting build. Sigvald's going to try and get after these Thunders, but he's going to get hit in the back one last time right before the grudge is settled. Lovely game, really, really enjoyed that build from Valentine, and you know, it matches sort of the builds that I use with the 3 hammers in that front line. I really do like it because you do a lot of damage right up front, and he has the 2 gyrocopters, which are really, really strong as well. And a really interesting pick in Belegar Ironhammer, which I don't bring, but you know, I've never seen him in this matchup, but he didn't do too bad. So 14 for Belegar, 6 and 5 for the Miners, only 11 for the Grumbling Guard, but they did a pretty good job for what they were doing. You know, they were really under a lot of pressure from the Gorby's Chariot. 102, 49, and 75 from the Hammers. 56 from those Giant Slayers. They did a really, really good job in that backline too. Only 2 from the Thunders, but you got to remember, they were focused on sort of those single entity units, and they were under pressure. They were still alive at the end, so Valentine did an excellent job of keeping his Authorized Raiders and his Thunders alive with all that backline pressure. Because the if you remember, those Mirror Guard got into the backline, so did Sigvald, and so did both the Chariots, and he was still able to keep his Thunders and his Authorized Raiders alive. 2 and 20 for the Gyrocopter, the Brimstone Gun. Really, I would say, you know, they didn't start off really strong, but at the end they started with putting in the chip damage, and they escorted that Sorcerer off really, really good. 5 and 2 for the Bolt Throwers, but they were on top of the Gorby's Chariots the entire time. Now for the Chaos Army, we have Prince Sigvald the Magnificent at 57 kills. Surprisingly strong in this matchup. 51 for the Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows with a Penumbral Pendulum. 12 for the Chaos Sorcerer of Death. 0 for the Marauders. Really, they're just there to take shots. Chaos Warriors, though, 20 and 8. And they were just beaten down by those hammers. And 96 by the Mirror Guard. Now, the Mirror Guard are a very strong unit, and they were able to collapse that left flank. Meanwhile, on the right flank, where Valentine did really, really good, he had Chosen and the Weird Spawn, who got 85 and 103 kills, and he had the Gorby's Chariots, 31 and 24 kills. We were both trying to crack that front line, but weren't able to. He was able to actually hold that front line down, which was really, really good. Very, very nice play. And a game I really enjoy. I love watching the Dowie play Warriors of Chaos, and I do like seeing a build like this, which has got some elite Dowie troops going up against some elite Chaos troops. Anyways, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. I always ask for comments because that's my favorite part of doing that. With that said, I hope you found this interesting, and I will see you soon.